OtterBasketball's one-day camp. This is the camp that is the cornerstone of the OtterBasketball program. It's going to teach all of our foundational concepts, everything from developing a solid athletic stance, going through stationary ball handling. We will take players through our level 1 jump rope program, but there's definitely key points of emphasis that we cover in our stationary ball handling, because we're not really all about just staying in one place dribbling. And don't ever confuse this with just being a dribbling camp, because we really aren't teaching players how to dribble. We expect players to already know how to dribble by the time they get to us. So this camp is really going to focus on efficiency of movement. We're teaching players how to eliminate all wasted motion, how to load their feet, how to cover ground and be more explosive with the ball, but most importantly, how to make reads on the defense and not rely on just making a move on the defense. So a few questions that we usually get from parents when they are contacting me asking about the one-day camp. And I've got Jason here, and we're just going to have him to answer some of those questions for you. Is this camp, is it too basic for a player that may be advanced or a high school aged player, since it is a foundational camp and it's one that our whole program is based on? Is this a camp that's for a high school aged player?
Well, what we often find is kids that try to not go to this camp or go to other camps before they come to this one struggle with those more advanced concepts. We want them working on these foundational concepts early and every single day. So the sooner I can get a child in the program and start developing those foundational concepts, the less I have to work to reroute poor movement mechanics or those kind of things. And what happens a lot of times is they start later, we can still reroute them, but it's actually probably harder for older kids in a lot of ways, because they're trying to break a lot of the bad habits that they've developed. So that's kind of what I would say if you were wondering if an older child should go to this camp. Absolutely. Every one of our workouts would start with these foundational drills or concepts. So whether I was a beginner, this foundational piece might be a big piece of my workout. As I become more advanced, this day camp would basically be my warm-up, where I reinforce proper movement mechanics and shooting mechanics with our A through D program and build off of it throughout my workout. Maybe, your foundational, I always say, is kind of like your workout from a standpoint of, pushing yourself, working on your first step. Once we get into as kids become more advanced, we become more holistic with the drills, and it gets more like your game piece.
And I always feel like that players, regardless of age, there's maybe some younger players, they're going to really latch on to developing that solid athletic stance, and the foundational piece with the stationary ball handling, maybe introducing them to the jump rope and developing the rhythm with the jump rope that we cover, that is a huge piece of what we do in our whole program. But then for the older players, making the reads on the defense and learning the dribble location, and understanding the situations of where the defense may be located and stretching their dribble angles.
Yeah, we talk a lot about visualization, especially that kind of leads into the point guard piece. But again, what happens is I've seen this, we've been doing this for over 25 years, is a lot of kids come in, they kind of think they have it, they fall away from those foundational key components, and then as they come back later or try to do point guard camps or explosive guards, they're showing a lot of bad habits they developed. And that's what I've seen with a lot of our real successful players. They were very involved in the point guard piece, but they were very involved in the details that we present at the day camp.
So it obviously goes without saying that this is a camp that players should attend before any of the other camps in our program, if it's possible at all.
Yeah, I mean, I would, so obviously if the child is really young, I'd recommend the basic, just because the basic training is more rhythm based. And then a big component we talk about the day camp is rhythm. So I talk about like the rope, the foot to floor rope rhythm as compared to the foot to floor ball rhythm, while maintaining proper kinesthetic alignment, all that kind of stuff. But I would say if you're past that basic point, you definitely want to attend this camp. It's not a must. I mean, if there's a high school kid that can't get to a day camp and he can only attend a point guard, I will review those concepts quickly, but everybody thinks they have it and they don't. And I'm not just talking, like I can go back to a kid like Jason Richardson, and we're still working on these concepts when he's in the NBA and we're getting him ready when he was playing for Golden State. And he was an NBA player that was, obviously averaging 20 points a game at that point. So you never had your foundation. If you leave it, you'll lose it. And you never leave that foundation in your workouts.
So players should repeat this camp probably, would you say, as often as they could?
Well, I always joke around. We had a kid named Matt Weir. He started in 2nd or 3rd grade. And I know he said he did that camp like 70 times. He was really big on details. And I know he was 2nd or 3rd in the country in three-point percentage. Another kid that started really young, we had 3 kids who really started really young, was Jordan McCabe and Matt Weir. So Jordan was the same way, and they both went through a lot of camps that way. You're seeing that with a lot of the kids we have now. So a lot of people are wondering how they get so skilled, how they do that, who do they train with? Well, they train by themselves, but they get to those day camps. We kind of checkpoint them. So we kind of have these checkpoints and progressions. We point out things they may be doing wrong in their foundation so they don't develop bad habits inside their game.
Absolutely. So the one-day camp is also a camp that coaches can bring into their school, or even a parent, if a parent wants to set up a camp in their school or in their area. It's one of those camps that you absolutely can. What would you say would be the benefit to a coach bringing in OtterBasketball's one-day camp into their program? And we can hold the day camp specific to just a high school program or open to the public.
Well, there's a lot of reasons. I mean, one of the things that I see, and I was a varsity coach and a high school teacher for 25 years. One of the things that I see a lot of is players expecting their coaches to develop their game, which we did, and we were very successful. We worked with our kids, and I think all coaches pretty much do. But I think you want to find those kids that have a passion and have them understand that they have to be in the gym spending a lot of time alone. It's more than an hour and a half with your coach 3 days a week or even 5 days a week if you're very serious. And what we're always looking for is that super passionate kid that we can bring in and really clings to the details, and we help him play at as high a level possible by playing above his athletic set, and that becomes contagious to the program. So if I get a kid in your program that's developing, and I can show the other kids in your program how that works, and then what happens is you got younger kids coming up following the system, and that's kind of like what you see with a lot of the programs that bring us in that win multiple state championships. Is those kids say, hey, I did OtterBasketball, the coaches bring us in, they do the program, the kids are holding themselves accountable rather than the coach holding them accountable, because that's a big piece of what we talk about. The other thing that I've seen with the day camps is, for a long time, even football coaches brought us in because a lot of the stuff we teach in that foundational camp is not just basketball, it's just exercise science. So when you're teaching a kid how to lead off a first base or anything like that, that ties into a lot of the things that we're teaching, except we're just teaching it with a basketball. And that's why football coaches for years have told their basketball coaches, hey, bring him in, because it all kind of goes hand in hand.
Absolutely. So the one-day camp, when coaches do bring us in, or if we hold one open to the public, we usually have a minimum of 30 kids, no more than 60. You're never going to see us pack a gym with 100 kids for a one-day camp, because we want to make sure that each and every player is seeing and hearing and doing exactly what it is that we are showing them to do, and that we can get around to each individual kid. So that's a huge part of what it is that we do. But the one-day camp, we will be holding these camps all throughout the spring, the fall, specific camps if programs want to bring us in. But look for the one-day camp on the website and get registered for those today.
And one thing that I always talk about with that one-day camp is, it's kind of set up to where a player can do that at his house, in his driveway, obviously in the gym. And it kind of goes right in hand with our virtual workouts. So if a student really buys in, they can hop into the virtual, and we can really make some pretty quick gains. And they'll see, it's reasonably easy. Like I always tell kids, like I know they think they're better than they are, and a lot of times after they come to that day camp, they realize they're not. But it's relatively easy for me to take you from that 50, 60 percentile to that 85, 90 percentile. So when we get in that 85, 90, that every little thing matters. So absolutely.
If you have questions or want to bring an OtterBasketball camp to you, call us at 866-357-2966. Register at OtterBasketball.com.